Hey guys, welcome to the first community dev update here at Ferrum Network. My name's Tom and please welcome Taha Abbasi. Hey Taha, how's it going?
Hey, excellent. Going great. I'm excited to be here with you, Tom, on this video for a dev community update.
Nice. Well, this is lovely. So, first of all, before we dive into all the technical stuff, Taha, can you tell us what's the idea behind those dev community updates?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think we do a pretty good job of the community updates, and even Crypto at the Roundtable gives a good context of what's happening at Ferrum. Sometimes we have to make the dev part of those updates a little bit concise, just in the interest of time. And that doesn't always shed light on everything that's happening in the background on a week-to-week or month-to-month basis. So the idea of the dev update is to go a little bit deeper to answer some technical questions. People can actually submit questions ahead of time. We might even at some point do like a live Q&A, sort of like an AMA session. So there's a lot of possibilities with this, but the general idea is to get people more familiar with what we're building, why we're building, and how they can benefit from the developments that are happening at Ferrum.
Of course. So the main idea is just to bring as much value to the community as we can from the technological kind of standpoint, and everything that's happening behind the scenes at Ferrum. So
exactly.
Perfect. So Taha, overall, could you give us a little breakdown of the most important things that have been actually happening on the dev side recently? And then we're going to be diving in a little bit deeper.
Yeah, I mean, our monthly update does a tremendous job of going over all of that. I won't be able to cover everything because we have other content that we want to dive deeper into. But from an overview standpoint, the categories we look at is Mainnet, integrations, gateway, MultiSwap, and Crucible. So these are some of the main areas where we focus on. Of course, there's other offshoots, the spokes, as we like to call it, of each one of these products and services that goes along. Let's start with the most exciting one, the one that we are all, the main reason for us being here. Everything else kind of surrounds around them, which is mainnet development. So what's really exciting in regards to that is that we have been able to secure our Rococo slot on the Rococo testnet. We submitted a request and it got approved thanks to the connections that Nick Odio had at Parity that got actually expedited. It would have gotten approved on its own, but it's nice to have like some support and some feedback coming when you have that internal connection. And Nick on our team is incredible at developing them. So now that slot is approved, we're meeting tomorrow actually to secure a parachain ID and to set up a crowd loan for the Quantum Portal network infrastructure on Kusama. So that's exciting. We can talk about the importance of this as we go along as well. On the integration side, we have this is where we integrate our technologies, whether it's MultiSwap, staking, and then soon to be Quantum Portal related technologies with other networks, whether they're EVM, non-EVM, whether they're in the .SOM ecosystem or not in the .SOM ecosystem. We are platform agnostic in that sense. So we are the entity that's connecting all of these chains together. And in that side, our focus right now has been on Cudos and Casper. We obviously finished Algorand a little while back. We're working with Neon. We have about a dozen others in the pipeline. And this just allows us to bring more accessibility of value transfer assets. In other words, bridging, crossing, and swapping to other communities. So they can, like if someone is on Cudos, for example, where there is not a DEX, and they want to acquire the Cudos token, but they don't have an easy way to get there. They don't have an easy way to acquire a Cudos token, but they have tokens on BSC as an example. So they can use BNB to purchase Cudos, or they can use even BUSD to purchase Cudos, for example. So this is just one use case as to how a network that was siloed is now going to be able to be connected to all of our ecosystem networks that we've integrated with EVM and non-EVM ones. So Cudos has been a focus. Casper has been a focus. That's made good progress. We've been working on it for quite some time. And we expect to finalize Casper here in about, I would say from now, we're about 2 months away from everything being production ready and live. Obviously, in between this time, things will be pushed to mainnet. But then even after we push to mainnet, we do some post-launch support, post-launch beta programs, tweak and modify things as needed. A Neon network is another one that we're progressing with. And then some others that I won't say publicly just yet because there's some conversations in the works. That's from the mainnet and the integration side. In addition to that, what we're going to be able to do with the Quantum Portal side, Tom, I don't know if you want to get into that now. That will be a good time because I think somebody asked a question why we are launching the Quantum Portal Network of Kusama. What do you think about covering that? I think this would be a good moment.
Yeah, I mean, well, first of all, thank you so much for just giving us an overview of what's happening. We can obviously dive much deeper into like kind of high level stuff right now. By the way, guys, the monthly dev report that Taha has been mentioning about, like, you can find the links in the description of this episode. So please do, and please dive in. And if you've got any questions, always reach out to us on Telegram or Discord. We're always happy to help. And obviously, we're going to be covering those kind of questions in the future episodes as well. So yeah, let's dive in. Let's dive into the Kusama stuff. So why are we using the approach of deploying quantum portal infrastructure on Kusama and Ferrum Network on Polkadot? How does this work, and why we taking this approach?
Yeah, this is a great question. Volker, I just want to give a shout out. He's a member of GC. He's also, I believe he's going to end up being a DAO mod as well.
He's already,
that's super legit. But yeah, that's awesome. So he brought up this great question. So it's a couple of our strategies. So one of it is we have a lot of technologies that are part of the quantum portal infrastructure, such as multi-chain token, multi-chain staking, multi-chain lending that can be developed on top of it. And so like it's limitless because it's a generic Turing complete interoperability infrastructure, which is similar to what smart contracts did to Ethereum. We are doing that to the interoperability layer. Similar to smart contracts, you can build whatever you can imagine. With the quantum portal infrastructure, you'll be able to make interoperable whatever you can imagine. There's no limit to it. So I can't list out all the use cases. But our strategy was that right now, that infrastructure is going to have to wait until the Ferrum Mainnet is live to be accessible to people, to be accessible to other networks. Ferrum Mainnet is going to take a bit more time, right? We're expecting about a year or so, right around the time, probably around the halving, a little after is when we're starting to project out some of the information related to Mainnet to go public on a public testnet and then live on the Mainnet, set up a crowd loan, set up a Verchain, so on and so forth. So 2024 to 2025, that time frame is where we're looking at really big updates on the mainnet side. That doesn't mean between now and then there will be nothing on the mainnet, but that means that our Ferrum network will not be on a parachain or a mainnet for others to utilize the benefits that have already been developed. Now, we follow a lean development approach, which means that we don't want to build everything and then get feedback. If we build something that's ready, we want to shoot it out, get feedback, improve it. So by the time mainnet actually comes out, all these products have been battle tested. We already have feedback, and then they're even better on our actual mainnet and can be amplified then. So to give people access and to, in fact, go after even grants in the ecosystem of other networks that might want to utilize our technology of this Turing complete interoperability layer, we decided to launch Quantum Portal Network on Kusama. For one, the market is down right now, so we can probably get a crowd loan and a purchase slot for like 2, 3, 5 grand. So we can probably just buy it ourselves. Second, it puts that infrastructure on mainnet and makes it accessible for the public to use right away, which means that then we can start integrating with networks and then have this sort of pre-built traction for when the Ferrum network mainnet comes out. We will already have tons of partners and communities onboarding, utilizing the technology that is going to be a big part of the Ferrum mainnet infrastructure. So that's the first technical and business reason. The other major reason is that it allows us to still, it's kind of related. It allows us to put out some of the technology that we have in hand, but not dilute the benefit of launching the Ferrum mainnet in the bull market. We are in a very seasonal industry, and I think no one can deny that. If you launch anything in a bear market, it may impact the value of your token, your economics, your whole infrastructure by maybe 2x or 3x, if you're lucky. There's not much you can do when the market is bearish other than build, and that's what we're doing. So launching something, even if it's ready at this time, is not wise, and it's not the right decision for the community, for the investors. So we have to be selective as to what we launch and what time we launch. But if we launch the same thing when post-halving, closer to the peak of the bull cycle, the likelihood of that going 2, 3, 4, 5, 10, or however many X, depending on market cycle, is much easier. This applies to marketing, crypto, any other business logic. So it allows us to still put out some of the benefits and the technological advantages that we built out without diluting the marketing and the other value add benefits of actually launching the Ferrum networks mainnet. So that's a 2-part strategy. And hopefully our community can see the wisdom in that. It was a great idea that actually Naeem brought up in one of our strategy sessions, and then we all refined it and worked on putting it out. So I'm really happy with it. I hope that our community finds it helpful too.
Brilliant. Thank you so much for that. And could you also, whilst we have this, could you explain the concept and functionality of the settlement engine, and how is this actually going to enhance any kind of trading experience on Ferrum?
Yeah, the settlement engine is really interesting. So it's something that you don't think about a lot. I guess in the sense that you don't think about your internet when you're on a Zoom call, right? So, but it's needed to make it work. So the settlement engine right now, because MultiSwap is in beta, the settlement engine is manually being handled. What does it do? So we all know about slippage when we go and do a trade on any sort of a DEX. When you trade on a DEX on one network, you're only dealing with slippage with one specific automated market maker, that being PancakeSwap or Uniswap or whichever network you're on, whichever DEX you're using. When you're doing a multi-chain swap, as you would do on MultiSwap, you have to think about slippage on the primary network. Let's say you're going from BSC over to Ethereum. So if you think about the slippage rate that would happen on BSC, and then the slippage that would happen on Ethereum, because the token, if you were transferring BUSD on BSC for Ferrum on Ethereum, that BUSD will first go to Pancake and convert into a tradable token. So it would go from BUSD over into USDC, which is a bridgeable token on our side. And then the USDC would then initiate and notify our node infrastructure that, hey, I received the USDC, go ahead and execute the swap on Ethereum. And then Ethereum USDC would be released and then converted into Ferrum through a USDC ETH Ferrum pool. Now, in this scenario, the slippage has to be met. The slippage tolerance, if you set it to 2%, that has to be met on the source network, meaning the price should not be different than 2% that we are asking for. And then the trade goes through. And then on the destination network as well, it has to remain within the 2% that you have set. That combined slippage tolerance, however, will be 4% because it's two different networks. So 2% on one side, 2% on the other side. The settlement engine comes into play when that slippage tolerance is not met. So for whatever reason, you started the swap and it went through on the source network. But by the time you went to the destination network, the price changed drastically. And now, let's say you were buying $100 worth of Ferrum with your $100 worth of BSD, and you set the slippage tolerance to be 4%, which is 2% on each network. So you're accepting that you will get $96 worth, no less than that, of Ferrum on the other side with the slippage tolerance. Obviously, in many cases, you'll still get $9,900, whatever dollars, but you're accepting that you're okay with up to $96 worth, no less than that. If that price changes below $96, what happens then? Currently, the swap fails on MultiSwap, and we manually intervene because there's no settlement engine. In production-ready applications, the settlement engine will come into play and say, hey, you've already swapped on the source network. On the destination network, the price has changed. Now, what do you want to do? Would you like to receive your funds as USDC, or would you like to swap it for another token? So basically, it gives you the option. Instead of just taking the loss, let's say the price, instead of getting to $96 worth of Ferrum, you were going to end up getting $90 worth of Ferrum. Or it could be the other way around. Like instead of getting $100 worth of Ferrum, which is what you initially asked for with the 4% tolerance, you're getting $120, which is a good thing. In that case, you can answer like, yes, I still want to buy Ferrum, or I want to switch it for USDC, or I want to get another token. So it basically handles those scenarios where the slippage tolerance is not met. The price impact is much greater. This will be really helpful when the market is more volatile, and for tokens that are extremely volatile, typically closer to launch, or when much intense market activity and volume is happening.
Okay, thank you. That's actually pretty clear. Like, is the between thing, that okay, cool. So that's brilliant. Thank you. And whilst we're actually at MultiSwap and things revolving around MultiSwap, can you provide an update on the integration side with Cudos, with Casper, with Neon Network? What are the main objectives? What are the timelines at the moment? How does it look like?
Yeah, that's a great question. On the integration side, we're making tremendous progress. The Cudos milestones have pretty much all been delivered on time or ahead of time. Right now, we're at a stage where they're approving one of the, I think, final few milestones, and they're waiting for us to answer a few questions on clarity on how the integration is going to move forward when we move it to a production environment. Beyond that, it's really going to be testing on the production environment, doing some beta tests with a few users that we'll be inviting in, and then making the thing go live. Once we have done this, Cudos will be integrated not only with all of the EVM networks that we had initially defined in the contract, but any future networks that get integrated with MultiSwap, whether EVM or non-EVM, Cudos will continue to get integrated with them. So it's a huge plus for the Cudos community that they will be interconnected with for potentially millions of community members outside across different networks. In terms of Casper, similar thing. The staking solution has already been out for some time. We've completed that milestone. We are also going to be completing the review now because we've completed the work on it on the bridge side, on the Casper bridge milestone. And similar scenario over there. Once the bridge integrates, it integrates with Algorand, it integrates with our EVM networks. Like it's a multi-part integration. And then Neon, it's the same cycle. Neon is a bit earlier in the progress cycle. We've still made quite a bit of development progress in that area, but I would expect that to be about another few weeks out until it's ready for production. Like there's a stage where development work completes, but then there's the stage of like actually getting in the hands of users and getting it ready for people to actually utilize the product. Specifically related to Cudos, something I think we'll discuss later is how that impacts the entire Cosmos ecosystem. So I think that's something really exciting to cover too.
Brilliant. Okay, thank you. And also, just moving slightly away from the integrations and MultiSwap, and focusing a little bit more on mainnet development. Could you tell us a little bit more about the improvements on mainnet documentation and developer experience as well? And how's the team facilitating faster iteration and development of mainnet at the moment as well?
Yeah, that's a great question. So in terms of mainnet development, we released our POC testnet nodes, invited a set of node runners to come in. And we were specifically looking for a bit more of a technical audience here, people that have experience running nodes, have some DevOps experience, because we wanted feedback. We didn't necessarily we know that the nodes weren't necessarily ready for everyone to run. They weren't like community ready per se. But this is the stage where we are looking for technical feedback to make that community ready, to identify the issues that if a technical audience is facing that, what happens when one of our just larger stakeholders wants to run a node? We want to make it easy for them to run it too. So through that, we got a bunch of feedback, some documentation improvements were made. I want to give a shout out to actually GC member Rima, who's also, he's not a moderator on the DAO, but he's the qualified proposal creator. For which I would definitely encourage you to check out our DAO and to learn how to qualify as a qualified proposal creator. But coming back to the point, he went through the process and actually provided a really defined, updated documentation that he saw from his perspective would help in setting up the node. So this is exactly this is the point of the beta program, right? Like launching it, getting feedback from different perspective of users, because when you're building something, your perspective is different. You've built the thing, so you already have a lot of intrinsic knowledge of how this specific aspect is going to be developed or built or deployed. When you give it to someone else, they don't have that knowledge. So they face all the issues that you have not thought about, and then you can improve that before it gets out to the larger audience. So we've utilized that approach, and there's been improvements made. We are not launching the next version of the node just yet, because the other lesson that we learned is that launching something preemptively actually slows down our development time. So we probably needed a quarter of the amount of people that were in our node program as we allowed. And then we ended up spending quite a bit of time providing support and realizing that that's not really adding benefit to the product. The product is not ready for that many people just yet. We just needed some technical feedback, and we got that from like about a dozen people, and that was more than enough. So we're changing our approach a little bit, where now we've taken the feedback, we are making those improvements, and some of them have already been implemented with the Quantum Portal node infrastructure, and then we're going to relaunch it, but to a smaller audience to get that feedback again. It's going to have to go through 2 or 3 more cycles like this before it is ready for the public to actually run nodes without intervention from us. And that will be a streamlined process where you can just follow instructions and deploy it, whether you're super technically savvy or not. There will obviously be some technical involvement. Other than that aspect, so this decision allowed us to accelerate our development on getting the parachain slot, as we are doing that tomorrow. It allows us to accelerate the development on our fee management infrastructure, how the fees are going to be distributed to different node runners. And sometimes you have to make these hard decisions. Otherwise, you would just spend a lot of time providing support and troubleshooting issue after issue after issue, instead of going and fixing the issues and developing a better product. So I think that's some updates in regards to mainnet. If there's anything specific that I want to highlight, it's the fact that this decision and decisions like this are allowing us to further improve our products, increase our shipment velocity, and build better features that can actually come back and add more value to the community.
Brilliant, thank you. I'm pretty sure the community is going to really appreciate the transparency, and also the like that there is an actual structure to it. There's an actual process, even though there are things that are maybe not that great to highlight as announcements and to let them know, individually of what's happening. A lot of times, things are moving forward. There's a structure that there are different processes in place to maintain the development as well. So that's brilliant. And you've already mentioned obviously Cosmos and Cosmos ecosystem and Cudos integration as well. But what would be the key goals and expected outcomes of the ongoing testing of the integration of Cudos network with MultiSwap on Mainnet? Are there any plans on further kind of collaborations or enhancements in this area?
Yeah, so with Cudos, I'm actually really excited about what's the prognosis, so to say, of where this goes, right? So in terms of the integration itself, the plans are obviously to make Cudos more interoperable. So to give access to a lot of community members that would not have access to the Cudos token, to the Cudos ecosystem, so to anyone on any other network. That's one. But we are also looking into options of looking at see if we can deploy staking solutions on Cudos, right? So this is something that's still under consideration, and we want to see like how this pans out. That's one side, but furthermore, something that's a much bigger goal of ours and something that we are really putting a lot of resources behind right now is the Cosmos ecosystem, which is what Cudos is a part of. So you have the Polkadot, the Kusama ecosystem, and then you have the Cosmos ecosystem. There are two larger ecosystems that allow you to build your own blockchains by utilizing some sort of a framework. With Polkadot, it's substrate, and their relay chain ecosystem. With Cosmos, obviously, it's the Cosmos SDK and everything that they provide in order to be able to build this specific chains, specific app chains related to the Cosmos ecosystem. So by building the integration with Cudos, we have actually not just integrated with Cudos, but we've built an inlet into Cosmos itself. This means that now we can go ahead and start offering this integration to every single chain in the Cosmos ecosystem. And one of our engineers that's working on this, actually, June, he's an incredibly smart guy, incredible initiative on integrations and research generally in the space as well. He actually has been going out and finding appropriate, feasible, technical integration candidates out there where we can actually integrate with them to become sort of a gateway for Cosmos, be the go-to solution for multi-chain swaps in Cosmos. And we have an opportunity to really corner that market because the solutions that are out there are not really that feasible. They're not the best. They're doing a good job, but we feel there's room for improvement. And we feel that we could significantly improve what's being offered right now with MultiSwap. So currently our focus is to take the work that we've done at Cudos, obviously deliver really good value, but then take some of those learnings, some of that technical implementation and apply it to the Cosmos ecosystem at large and integrate with perhaps a dozen or more really prominent chains in that space, prominent app chains in that space specifically.
Okay. And last but not least, how do we plan to leverage any kind of insights and feedback gathered from the MultiSwap testing? Because obviously we're still in the beta testing. You can tell us a little bit more about the next steps in the development of MultiSwap. Yeah, how are we going to, what plans do we have to enhance the kind of functionality of MultiSwap from the feedback that we've already managed to gather?
Yeah, I mean, so in terms of beta programs and specific to MultiSwap or whether it's, we're talking about Mainnet, the beta programs are designed to give us feedback so we can improve the product. And we take that very seriously. Even if that means making hard decisions, like I mentioned about the Mainnet and stopping the node infrastructure sort of intake for new node runners. Similar to MultiSwap, we've done a similar approach over there where we have about 200 beta testers actually in the group right now. But MultiSwap is at a level where we needed more beta testers to provide more feedback, and we've been able to get that. That feedback has already been valuable, whether it's something not related to MultiSwap itself, like MetaMask shot out an update between the first beta and the current one. Over the last couple of months, there was a MultiSwap update that came out that changed how approvals are handled. And a lot of people are getting confused by that because there's an option in MetaMask that allows you to choose max or use default. Use default was the previous way to take approvals, which was something called infinite approval. And then you use max as a new way, which allows you to only get approval for the max amount of tokens in your specific wallet. I won't get into the details of this, but it's just an example that we would not have realized that people are facing this issue, again, because of the builder and a user issue. Because as a builder, you're not thinking about the issue, you just click the button and you move forward. But when you get that feedback from user acceptance testing from different users using a mobile device, the browsers, or different perspectives, you learn, okay, we need to change our approval flow to adapt to this new update that just came out. So that's a good example of one of the features that we've already started to work on changing. There's been quite a few other updates that have come out in terms of initially transaction handling for abandoned transactions was causing a bit of an issue for a few users. Like if they started a transaction and their internet connection got lost, or something happened in the middle of the transaction, they wouldn't have a way to figure out what happened with it. So building out some of those things where you think of your happy scenarios and you kind of deprioritize scenarios where there could be some issues, like someone clicking refresh in the middle of a transaction is not really as high priority as doing a simple swap, because you don't think that would happen. But you don't think that someone can lose an internet connection. And if that happens a lot, it's the same thing as hitting refresh right in the middle of a transaction. So you have to handle those scenarios. So feedback like that we've received and started to make improvements that will make it easier for users to handle all kinds of different scenarios for a swap. And then we are holding off on releasing the current improvement version to a larger beta audience. The same beta audience has access to it, but the next iteration is going to come out when we are putting out the node infrastructure updates that are going to improve the security of our nodes, and we can improve the liquidity amounts above 500. So it will be thousands of dollars of liquidity in there, so you can do as many swaps as you want. And then it will be open for a larger public beta where anybody can go and start swapping tokens on MultiSwap.
Okay, thank you. Thank you for giving us this overview of the beta testing as well and the next steps. And Taha, this episode is actually coming to an end very, very soon. Do you have any final thoughts, anything that you'd like to share with the community? Anything else?
I think this is a great initiative to share dev updates. So we'd love to get feedback from the community, though, because what we think is great might not be valuable to the community. I think we'll still put out a few more in this series, but based on the feedback, we'll decide how much more we want to do with it. If we do want to do some sort of an AMA every once in a while, obviously that won't be a regular thing, because we don't want to turn this into too much of a time suck from the actual development, because it does take time away. I still do architecture and development work on the team, but it's important to share what we're working on with the community, because what good is all the work we're doing if no one knows about it, if no one knows how they can benefit from it? So that's our intention here. And if you like what you see, if you listen to this on the podcast, obviously the best way to tell us is to subscribe to the podcast, give us a rating, or wherever you listen to that podcast. If you're listening to us or watching this on YouTube, make sure to like and subscribe to our channel, and let us know in the comments, or let us know in Telegram. That's the best way that we can know that this video is doing well, this kind of content is nice, because we'd like to see more of it. So that's all from my side, Tom, and thank you for organizing it.
Thank you, Taha, for sharing the knowledge, sharing the updates with me, with the community. I'm pretty sure they're going to appreciate it. Guys, make sure to check out the monthly dev report. It's coming out every single month, and it's always in the description of most of our videos, all the videos related to Ferrum. Definitely, Taha, once again, thank you so much. Guys, let us know what you think. I hope that you've enjoyed this video as much as we did. Taha, thank you so much.
Of course. Take care, everyone.